the semester has ended, and so it's time to look back and reflect on what went well and what could be improved on next year. So here are my top 7 reflection questions to ask yourself in order to make sure your next semester gets off on a great start. All right, so I mentioned in a video a couple weeks ago, which I'll link here and also in the description box, that during the winter break, there are a lot of activities you can do for both fun but productivity as well. And one of the productivity ones was reflecting on the past semester. So I have a whole blog post about this that includes 23 questions, and so you can see my Google Slides of that in the blog post, which I've also linked below. But today I thought I'd focus on the top 7, because I know that not all of us want to take tons of time reflecting. We want to get to the resting part of the break, or you're already doing a lot of work for the next semester or with your academic writing. So let's look at my top 7 questions. So the first question is thinking big picture, and that's what am I most proud of accomplishing this past semester? All right, so of course I mean this in relation to teaching, but perhaps for you, what you accomplished and you're most proud of is that you never pulled an all-nighter, right? You were always prepared for the day ahead without having to stay up all night. Or maybe it's that you managed to submit a big research project while you were doing your teaching. Okay, so I don't mean you have to be about teaching, but you might think, did you get that really reluctant student to accomplish a great last unit? Were you proud of the fact that your students were really invested in a certain assignment that you designed? So what are you most proud of accomplishing this semester? The next one is in mind just to help you improve next year, and that's what stumbling blocks did you have this semester? What didn't go according to plan? Or what did you think would go really well and just did average, right? Of course, or poorly. But just give it some thought of, what are those areas of improvement that you see, looking back at the past few months. So the next question to ask yourself is thinking more specifically, and that's what assignment or maybe assignments were your students most invested in? So perhaps they enjoyed one a lot and they found a lot of value in it. So obviously that's the perfect assignment basically. Okay? Maybe they enjoyed one a lot, but you realize they didn't really see why it's helpful in the long run for them. Okay? Or maybe there's one they're like, wow, this was great for learning, but I struggled through it because I find it so difficult. Okay? So just consider which assignments do you feel like you definitely want to keep going forward. Right? So for example, my group project that I always assign to my literature students is their favorite by far and away, and they learn a lot from it. And I have a whole blog post about that one, so I'll link it below so you can see. But basically, it's a 3-team project where they have to lead an activity of analysis on one of the texts you're reading in class, right? But they get to decide who the partners are, what text they're doing it on, how they design that assignment and lead it. So they love the agency they have, and they also like being able to say, okay, well, we're going to focus on this element of this book rather than me being the one who always says what we're talking about. Right? So I always try to give as much student choice as possible. Okay? So I'll link that one below, along with a couple other assignments that I've written about on my blog. But consider for yourself which assignments you really want to make sure you include next year. Now, going on the other side of it, you can ask yourself what major assignments do you want to actually change or redesign because they didn't go according to plan or as well as you would have liked. But just to make it a big difference for this question, also consider what smaller activities or homework assignments do you think should stay and should not stay if you teach this course again. So this can just be going through, if you have a teaching journal, then you can just use that obviously, or maybe you have some kind of schedule on your syllabus that goes through the weeks and just kind of list out okay, this small group activity worked well with Kahoot, or this debate didn't go as planned, I probably won't do this again. So just go through and think about small activities that you want to make sure to repeat in future courses, and then those that you think, this didn't actually end up doing anything that I wanted it to, I'm going to skip on it going forward. All right, so this one involves a bit more introspection, so we'll see how you do, but it's what did you say yes to this year that you wish you had said no to, okay? You could do the vice versa, of course, but I think it's more important. I feel like teachers, we can really be yes women, right? Especially women. And so consider, what should you have said no to, right? Was there a certain thing a student asked for that you ended up giving them or all of them a chance to do, like an extension that ended up working out poorly because it ended up butting against the next assignment? But it could also be administrative yeses that you said, or research yeses that you said, social yeses, that you realize it really ended up negatively affecting your life teaching or otherwise, right? So what did you say yes to that you should say no to next time around? Or you can potentially figure out how to, go back and say, I'm sorry, I know I agreed to this and I'll do X, Y, and Z for you, but at that point I need to move on and work on, my teaching or whatever the case may be. Okay? So it's an important question to ask, right? So really dig deep and consider it. This is another question that I feel isn't asked enough when you see, list of questions to ask yourself when you're reflecting on the semester. And that's who most helped you succeed in your teaching this past semester, okay? I'm not thinking students here, though of course you might consider that. I'm thinking, was there a coworker or a family member or a friend or a mentor? Who did you realize wow, they gave me this great advice or this great idea or they supported me in this way, and I really couldn't have gone through the semester without their help in that way, right? So think back and consider, was there anybody really involved, even if it's a small moment or maybe it was a huge project that they helped you with, that you realized they were integral to your success this past semester? And if you have anybody who's like that, I always suggest doing a small thank you note or email or maybe a small holiday gift, just kind of thanking them and saying, I appreciate you, right? Or maybe you have awards at the end of your semesters or year on your university, and so when they ask did anybody help you, mentor you, you can reply saying, hey, this instructor was amazing, they helped me in this way, I'm so thankful, right? So if you had nobody who was this helpful, you're like, no, I did it all alone, then you might consider, how can I get, feedback or help from others if you're feeling overwhelmed by your teaching experiences, right? So making it more communal might be, better for you in the long run because you feel more supported in your environment, okay? So just something to consider as well. Now, since this video is going on through winter break, then this question is thinking, more career-wise. And so it's kind of a two-parter. So first, where do you want to be this time next semester? So when it's the end of the semester, next semester, do you want to be somewhere different than you are now? This could be emotional, this could be physical, this could be mental, whatever the case may be, right? But consider, are you content where you are right now, or do you want to be somewhere different, right? And really write that down so you know that's a goal for you to work towards, okay? You can also take it further and say, where do I want to be during the next academic year? Right? So you have the rest of this academic year in the spring semester, but do you want to be here next fall, right? Is teaching still something that you want to do? Hopefully yes, right? Because they definitely need us, and I feel it's an amazing career, but I know obviously there's a lot of stresses and struggles that come with it. So we want to, ask yourself, is this something you see yourself doing long term? And if not, then you can start planning ahead and seeing, what else is out there that you might find, is your calling, okay? So it's a two-parter, but I feel it's an important one to consider, every year, but especially during this winter break season. So I'm pretty sure that was at least 7 questions. I know I had some two-parters there, so I'm definitely, doing more than less. So I'm going to end it here. Remember that I have, the full list in that blog post I linked below. There's 23 questions there. So I do suggest looking through it if you're looking for more of an in-depth reflection on your past semester. And I'd also let you know in the comments below, what are you most proud of accomplishing, this semester? I'd love to be able to say, hey, that's amazing, and cheer you on, right? And if you plan on using this reflection questions, I would appreciate you clicking the like button and letting me know. It really helps me with these video creations. And I'll see you next week where we're talking about planning for 2020.